So now we deal with style and function. And the style tends to reflect function, as well as times, sort of the historical period in which something is built can elicit a certain message. So we're all familiar with, for example, styles of homes. Homes will change style about every 10 to 15 years or so. The current style appears to be McMansion with a side of fries, but we've gone through any number of other styles. We also see it in commercial buildings, where we've slowly made a progression from something like the Empire State Building, which is stone and glass from the exterior, to something like the Burj Dubai, which is going to be pretty much a glass exterior building. Now, these styles can serve another purpose. They can give us a message, such as the U.S. Capitol building. When we look at it, this is built in what's called the neoclassical style. And it looks like something out of ancient Greece or ancient Rome, and that should stand out. In fact, it's meant to stand out in this case. So we've got the columns, for example. We've got the dome. We've got the symmetry, where we can split this building beautifully down the middle, like we see in Greek and Roman temples. And there are other features as well. All of these are to remind us, in this case, of a specific ideology. So the United States is based on, at least according to the Founding Fathers, is based on the democracy of ancient Greece and the Republic of the Romans. Now, I'm simplifying this, but you get the idea. So you build a Capitol building, and in fact, much of Washington, D.C. in the same style, which reminds the citizens of the foundation of the country, but also reminds visitors to the United States of the basic ideology underlying the entire national identity. Now, buildings should also have an apparent function. Preferably, form should develop from the function of the building. The building should look like what it is. So we should recognize the function from the first time we look at it. In this case, this is an L stop on the University of Chicago campus. We know, looking at it immediately, that it's some kind of train station. If this were a library, it would stand out because it wouldn't make a lot of sense. We're much more comfortable if the building we walk into from the outside looks like its function on the inside. Now, we also see this, for example, at the Guggenheim. Anytime we have an arts building, a concert hall, an art museum, etc., we expect it to push the architectural bounds. And the Guggenheim does this in spades. And in fact, Frank Lloyd Wright, when he designs it, many of you are looking at it and saying, wow, that looks like a parking lot. And it does, because he looked at the spiral entrance and exit to a parking ramp and built the Guggenheim around that basic idea. From the exterior, we immediately know it's some kind of art structure because it stands out. And on the inside, we get a massive continuous spiral wall, which allows for a really complete view of the art on exhibit, as opposed to breaking it up into very small rooms. Then we have dynamics. Buildings can either have a sense of movement, or they can actually move. And in Milwaukee, we actually have two that move. We used to have three. The Polaris on top of the Hyatt no longer moves, but we have the Calatrava as well as Miller Park. Now, when we look at these buildings, by creating an element of it that moves, the building becomes very much sculpture. So we look at it differently. We look at the building as a piece of art rather than as a functional element of shelter. And in the case of the Calatrava, we've gotten used to it. It's become a symbol of Milwaukee, seeing those wings open and close over the central breezeway in the middle of the structure. And that sail-like form really has become an identifying factor, not just for the museum, but for all of southeastern Wisconsin. So adding a sense of movement or adding actual movement will draw us to it, and in this case also sets it apart as an art building. In the case of Miller Park, it serves a functional purpose of opening and closing the roof so that the fans don't get wet while watching the Brewers throw away yet another perfectly good season.